So let's continue. In this week, we are going to continue with chapter 4. Okay, chapter 4. So in chapter 4, we are making decisions. So before we move on to this topic, video buttons and check boxes. So let's see some example to illustrate, because I feel that these examples may help you a little bit. Okay, a little bit. Okay. So we have learned, right, these logic operators and or, right, and not, three different operators. And we learned that we can build compound expression based on these logic operators, okay? But in the lecture slides, what we have learned is just for two sub expressions, okay? In practice, when you build actual algorithm, so usually the condition can be very, very complicated, okay, very complicated. So in this case, you have to be very careful how the expression will work, okay, how this expression will work. Now let me give you two examples to illustrate when you have a complicated compound expression, how to analyze it. Because when you understand how to analyze this compound expression, you can design your own, right? Based on the algorithm or the method you want to implement. Okay, you want to implement. So this is the first example. Okay, first example. So in the first example, we assume before the example, okay, before all the statements, we assume, right? Assume. So intervariables, we have x equals 5, y equals 8, z equals 2, okay? And we have this if statement, okay? We have this if statement. And inside the if statement, we have the message box dot show statement. And if the if statement expression is true, we are going to see hello world, okay? Otherwise, this statement message box dot show hello world will be skipped, okay, will be skipped. So this is a problem. Let's analyze whether we are going to see the message hello world or we will see nothing. Let's analyze it, okay? So the values of x, y, and z are 5, 8, and 2, okay? Let's analyze the condition here, okay? Condition here. So we can analyze inside this if, okay? Inside this if, okay? Let's put it here. So inside this if, we have a very complicated, okay? In practice, it can be even more complicated, okay? Now we make it complicated, more complicated than the examples we covered in the lecture slides, okay? You can see that in this expression, we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 different sub-expressions, okay? Then the question here is how to analyze this compound expression. So in order to analyze it, so first you see we have one pair of parentheses, right? Or another pair of parentheses, okay? So it means, right? So first one, this part, okay? Let me use. So it is expression, let me see. Expression 1, right? And 2, right? In big picture, it is an OR condition between two expressions, okay? So the expression 1 will be the gray one. X is greater or equal than 4, and Y is greater than 9, right? For the second expression, so the second expression will be the yellow one, right? X plus Y less than 10, or Y minus Z is greater than 4, okay? So in big picture, we have it is expression 1 or expression 2, okay? Then we analyze expression 1. So it is X okay. So expression 1 will be X is greater or equal than 4 and Y is greater than 9. Okay, two sub-expressions. So let's analyze expression 1. The value of X is 5, right? So for X is greater than 4, right? So the first sub-expression, it is true, right? Okay. So the second sub-expression is Y is greater than 9. Y value is 8, right? 8 is not greater than 9. So it is false, okay? So as we have learned before, true and false will give us, right? False, okay, false. So it means for expression 1, we got false, okay, false. Now let's see expression 2, okay, expression 2. So for expression 2, we have X plus Y is less than 10, or Y minus Z is greater than 4, okay? X plus Y, X is 5, Y is 8, right? 5 plus 8 is 13, right? 13 less than 8, less than 10, it is false, right? So we have or Y minus Z is greater than 4, Y is 8, Z is 2, 8 minus 2 will be 6, right? It will be 6. So 6 is greater than 4, that is true, right? So it is false or true, right? For all condition, when we have one false and one true, it will give us true, right? So now let's consider the big picture, expression 1 and expression 2. That will be expression 1, it is false, right? We have analyzed it. False, or expression 2, it is true, right? False or true, right? So then in this case, the whole expression will be true, right? That will be the final return value from this expression, okay, from this expression. Okay, from this expression. So when you analyze, build your own condition for if else or if else if. And sometimes the expression can be very complicated, okay? When you build a very complicated expression, you have to be very clear how it works, okay, how it works. When you make a small mistake, when you design the expression, your result will be wrong, okay? That is why you have to be very clear and careful about the expression design, okay, the expression design, okay? So now let's see the next example, okay? So we still have X, 5, 8, and 2, okay? X, Y, Z to be 5, 8, and 2, okay? But in this case, so we have, let me copy this and I just fill in, okay? In big picture, right, we have expression 1 and expression 2, okay, in big picture. And we have no idea where it's false or true, right? We are still waiting, okay? We are still waiting. So for expression 1, so it is x is greater or equal than 6, and y is greater or equal than 9. And it is x is greater or equal than 6, or y is greater or equal than 9. X is 5, 5 is greater or equal than 6. That is false, okay? That is false. Y is greater than 9, 8 is not greater than 9, right? So it is also false, right? False or false gives us false, right? For the second expression, we have x plus y is less than 10, y minus z is greater than 4, okay? Same condition, right? So x plus y, it is 13, right? 13 is not less than 10, false. Y minus z, 6. 6 is greater than 4, it is true, right? False or true, it is true, right? So that expression 1 and expression 2 will be false and true, right? So the final result will be false, okay? In the second example, the logic value returned from the expression will be false. I give you these two examples because I want to emphasize when you build your own condition, most of the time it is not simple. Maybe in this course it is not difficult because we try to make things simple, okay? You're learning, it's okay. However, in practice, when you work on your project, you need to write a lot of lines of statements, okay? In this case, you may need to design a very complicated expression for your if condition. So in this case, you have to be very clear, okay? You have to be very clear about how the logic is working. If you make a small mistake when you design the expression, your final result will be wrong. Okay, that is always the case. So try to learn from these examples, okay? Learn from the examples. So this is the example we try to learn today, okay? Today. Now let's continue with the materials in chapter 4. The next topic is radio buttons and check boxes. Okay, radio buttons and check boxes, right? For example, when you try to register courses, okay, in the system, so you may need to select whether it is fall or spring. Two options, right? You either select fall or select spring or summer, but you cannot pick two at the same time, okay? So in this case, we use radio button. You see, radio buttons allow users to select one choice from several possible options. It is one from n. Only one can be selected. You cannot select multiple options at the same time if you want to use radio buttons, okay? One from n selection. So clicking on one radio button automatically deselects any others. This is known as a mutually exclusive selection, okay? Mutually exclusive selection. On the other hand, checkboxes allow users to select multiple options or none. Clicking one checkbox has no effect on any other checkbox. This is known as an independent selection. For example, right? After you select, I want to register the courses for 4. Then the next step is to pick courses. Okay, select courses. So you can select 1 course, 2 courses, 3 courses. It means you can select multiple courses at the same time, right? So in this case, so all the options allow the user to select multiple different options. In this case, you may want to use checkboxes. Okay, checkboxes. So clicking one checkbox has no effect on any other checkbox. This is known as an independent selection. Okay, so when you use these 2 things in your project, be careful, because based on my personal experience, in previous semesters, there were several students who were confused about these 2 different types of selection. They use radio button when checkboxes to be used, okay? So you have to be very clear which option or which control is the right one, okay? For example, so in one assignment or labs, you need to select state, tuition, or in-state, or out of state. It means only one of them can be selected, right? So in this case, radio buttons should be used. However, there are 5 courses, right? You can register 1, 2, 3 courses. In this case, checkboxes have to be used, okay? Checkboxes have to be used. So this is radio buttons and checkboxes. So the radio button control, the .NET framework provides the radio button control for you to create a group of radio buttons, okay? Radio buttons. So in Visual C#, okay, in Visual C#, okay, this is example we have practiced in previous lectures, okay? So when you go to toolbox, okay, you go to toolbox. So you check all kinds of controls, okay? You check all kinds of controls. So wait a minute. So the slowly. There's some problems in the server because which one? I know, but sometimes I don't know what's going on. It's on the server. Yeah, it's on the server. I can open it with let me see. Okay, let me open it again. Because I want to use Visual Studio 2017. It's on the server. On my computer, I installed 2019. Okay, see the windows are here, right? It's loaded. So all Windows forms are control, right? You will see. So you have radio button. Okay, you have radio button. So you can double click, right? The radio button to add a radio button on the form. Same thing can be done for checkbox, right? Checkbox, okay? Checkbox. So a group of radio buttons is placed in a container control in order to specify the options from which one selection may be made. Commonly used radio button properties include text, holds the text that is displayed next to a radio button. Checked, a Boolean property that determines whether the control is selected and deselected, may be set at design time or set using code during runtime, okay? So what does it mean? It means, where's my here? So it means, right? So in order to make this couple of radio buttons in one group, you need a container, okay? In this course, most of the time, we use group box, okay, group box. So for example, let's do a small, very small example, okay? So and first we have a group box, okay, group box. So which is here. I put my group box here. Let me redesign my okay, put it here. So let me use this, and I will put the group box. You deal with text property. Now it's group box 1. I have semester. Okay, I do semester. So the name. Remember, when you add a control, the first step is always to change the name. Okay, rename the control. And also, when we grade your work, this will be a grading. We will see if you have renamed the control with a decent name or the required name. Okay, we'll check that. So it will be, and use it. It is semester group box. Okay, I follow camel convention, and in the semester, I would like to have 3 semesters, 4 spring and summer. And among these 3 semesters, only one can be selected, right? So it will be radio button. Okay, it will be radio button. Let me use. So radio button, I put radio button first here. Need to put all radio button inside the group box in order to make them, right? Make them in a group. Okay, in a group. Let me put. Expand a little bit. So radio button, okay, let me put 3 different radio buttons. Okay, then another one. Okay, you see I have put 3 different radio buttons. So I need to rename it. So first one will be 4, okay, radio button. Remember, the first step is always to rename the control. The second one will be spring radio button. Okay, sorry, I need to delete the number 2. The third one will be summer radio button. So be careful that I have put all 3 radio buttons in this group box. Okay, all 3 are in one group box. Okay, they are not separated. So for the first one, I put the text will be 4. Okay, it is 4, right? For the second one, the text will be okay, spring. The last one, it will be summer. Okay, summer. So I put the 3 in a more compact way. Okay, and resize. Okay, resize. When I do this, right? So you see that when you start, I start application, I want the default selection, it is 4, right? The selection we put on the 4, and user can change it. Okay, user can change it. So I select this 4 video button. So you will see that there is a property checked. Okay, checked. So the default value, it is false. It is false. I can select it is true, right? You can see when you select it is true, the 4 radio button is selected. Okay. Now let's see if it works. I have not written any code. I just want to see if my design works well. Okay. So you can try it. So this is my application. The fall semester is selected by default. Okay. I'm a user. I want to change the read button from fall to spring. Okay. I click spring. You see. So the selection is changed from fall to spring. I select summer, right? So the selection is changed from fall, spring to summer, right? I select fall, it goes back. Okay, you see only one can be selected. It works well. The reason why only one can be selected, it is because the three are in one group box. Okay, when you work on your project, so for the radio buttons, which is grouped in one group, you need one group box. Okay, to contain all the radio buttons. That is the first thing, okay? That is the first thing you need to learn from the slides, okay? Slides. So working with radio buttons, in code, a decision structure is used to determine whether a radio button control is selected. Basically, you need to use the checked property. For example, if, right, this 4 is selected, that for radio button checked property will be true, okay? It means if it is true, then we go inside. Note that the if expression above is equivalent to the expression below, either can be used. In this case, we want the choice radio button dot check equals true, right? Equal true, because its value is already Boolean, true or false. You can use the value as the expression directly, okay? Without the equal true part, okay? Both formats are okay, are correct, okay? Are correct. So this is one example. Assume that there is a string variable name and 2 radio buttons, cat radio button and dog radio button. Write statements to set name equal to cat if cat radio button is selected, and dog if dog radio button is selected. In this case, so you need to know that you need to use the checked property, okay? If cat radio button dot checked, then name equals cat, right? So because name is string, okay? So you have to use double quote. So if dog radio button dot checked, then name equals dog. Okay, that is how the answer of this example. So the next one is the checkbox control. The checkbox control provides the user an option that can be selected or not selected. Okay, not selected. Commonly used properties include text and checked. Okay. In code, a decision structure is used to determine whether a checkbox control is selected. So basically, you still use checkbox.checked property to check if that checkbox is selected or not. Okay, you need to use these things in the lab and assignment. Okay, next lab and assignment for radio button and checkbox selection. So in design, right? In design, the design for use checkbox is similar. You need to put, right, a group box or without a group box. Try to put a group box, right, to group all the checkboxes, right, which have the same format. For example, if you are trying to summarize the billing information of a customer, so the customer has used some facilities in the hotel. Then you want to check if the customer has requested a dinner or lunch or chocolate bar or wine, right? These things are put in one checkbox or in one group box, right? So for example, let me close it. Okay, close it. So I want to use checkbox for some courses. Okay, courses. So first thing is I put a group box. Okay. So I put a group box when you put a control, the first step is to change its name, right? So it will be my course, okay, group box, okay, or courses group box, whatever. So courses, okay, courses. So the text property, I want to change it to courses, okay, courses. So in this group box, I want to put a bunch of different courses, okay, courses. So I have, for example, I assume I have 5 courses, 5 courses. So I have checkbox, okay. Checkbox, okay. I put 5 different courses. Right? Okay, I try to put 5 different checkboxes. So the first one is, right, calculus. Right, calculus, okay? So calculus, sorry, checkbox. Okay, calculus. So the text property will be calculus, right? The second one is, for example, English, okay? I have okay, English. So the third one is French, okay? Okay, I have French. And French, okay? This one, I put it as history, right? Okay. I put it as so last one, it will be Spanish, okay? You see, I show you these steps. Why? Because I want you to follow my steps when you work on your project. Add that control, change its name, change the text. Don't do this. Don't put all the controls on the form at the same time, right? Then try to rename because it's too many controls there. You may forget to rename some of them, okay? So work one by one, okay? Work it one by one. So the last one, it is Spanish. So I want the text to be okay. So you see that now we have what? We have 5 different courses, right? And from text concept of checkbox, I can select multiple checkbox, right? At the same time. I try to run it, okay? So you see, for radio button, I can only pick one, okay? That works. For checkboxes, okay? Multiple one can be selected, right? Okay, multiple selections can be selected. Okay, that will be the design of the checkbox. Okay, it works well. You see, I built this application from scratch, right? When you work on your project, so try to follow similar strategy. Okay, so each time you add a control, rename it, change the text of it, right? then sometimes you may need to write some code, but do not try to put all controls at the same time. Then try to rename one by one because you may forget. Okay, you may forget, okay? So this is a checkbox, okay? Similarly, you use checked property for if statement, okay? Checkbox, checked property for if statement. Setting the checked property of radio buttons and checkboxes. The specific situation determined whether to select a radio button or checkbox at design time or runtime. In design view, set the checked property to true to select the control or false to deselect the control. Okay, I have shown you, right? So for the radio button, right? For the radio button, so for fall, right, semester, I pick select its checked property to be true. It means when we start the application, right? So fall semester is selected by default. Usually for courses, the default setup is no selection. Question? You can only select one for radio button, yeah. You can only pick one, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I was just wondering if, like, from the beginning you would have to set them, or if someone could select.
It's like this. In the beginning, you pick one because that's usually, for example, right? You fill an online form, you see one is picked, you can choose, right? But other things can be changed by the user when they start the application. Okay. So as runtime, code can be executed to select or deselect a radio button or checkbox. For example, red radio button dot check equals true. When you write this statement, the red radio button will be selected. So if you do display checkbox dot check equals false, then the check, right? That checkbox will deselected. Okay, this be deselected. So the checked changed event, what is that? It is this. Let's see, okay? Let me start. It is, for example, now it is 4, selection is 4, and no checkboxes have been checked, right? When I click, there is a change in the selection, right? Something will happen. That is the event, okay? If I select calculus, right? Then that checkbox is checked. The status is changed from deselected to selected, right? Then something need to happen, right? In this case, you need to write some code for that. Okay, write some code for that. So, for example, private, how to add this event handler? You double click the control in the design to create an empty checked changed event handler, similar to this by radio button checked changed. So in the assignment or labs, you need to use this kind of event handler. For example, so in state or out state selection, each time you switch from in state to out state, or switch from out state to in state, right? The final tuition, calculation of the tuition need to be changed accordingly. Okay, that's why you need to use this event handler. Okay, checked changed event handler. So checked changed event example. Here is a modified version of a program from the first lab exercise. Now utilizing radio button. Okay, now we have 4 radio buttons. So it is if 4 radio button checked changed, right? It means you switch, right, from another one to 4, right? Then you have season picture box dot image. It is 4 picture, right? We have done something different, a little bit different in the first lab. This is a different way to accomplish the same thing. Okay, to accomplish the same thing. So if winter video button is checked, right? So winter it is image, right? So if it's spring, so the picture will be spring. If it is summer, the picture will be summer, right? So it is example. It is one example how we can use radio button to write some code, right? To change the picture. For the picture, for the example we did in the lab one, okay? This is example. So another thing is set visibility during runtime. Recall from chapter 2 that the visibility of a control on a form can be set by using the control's visible property, message label dot visible. It is false. It means, so you want the label to be displayed on the form, then the visible need to be true. If you do not want the control to be displayed on the form, then the visible property need to be set to false, okay? So sometimes it's useful because when user selects something, right, something will be deleted from the form, right? Some content will be displayed, but when user makes his or her changes, then the content, some existing content will be deleted, right? Some new content will be displayed, right? For this kind of thing, we can use the visible property. So the visibility of a control can be determined by the selection status of a radio button or checkbox. So make the visibility setting of the label match the checked setting of the checkbox like this. Message label dot visible equals display checkbox dot checked. It means when it is checked, right, then the label is visible. When it is not checked, the label is invisible. Okay, so you know these tricks how to do this kind of thing. Okay, do this kind of thing. So we have some examples. Example 1, assume that there is a button, calculate button, set it to invisible. Answer is calculate button dot visible equals false. Okay, for this simple problem, you need to know that you need to use the visible property, and V is capital. Okay, V is capital. So example 2, assume that there is a checkbox, display checkbox, and a label, message label. If the checkbox is checked, make the label visible, otherwise make it invisible. In this case, you need to know that we need to use the checked property. We checked property. If display checkbox dot checked property, then message label dot visible is true, right? Else message label dot visible is false. Okay, it is false. Okay, so we have these examples. Okay, we have these examples. Okay. So another property is enabled property. What is that? Remember sometimes, right? There's survey, online customer survey. You have made an order on Amazon. Then the seller asked you to fill your survey, and you are happy to fill the survey. Okay, you go there. So they ask, so how do you know our website? That's a question. There are a couple of options. You search over the internet. You hear from a friend. Couple of options, but your option, right, is not in any of them. Usually there is one option, other, right? But when you click other, right, so a text box will be displayed for you type the reason, right? So in this case, without selecting the other option, right, the text box is not enabled. When you select the other option, that input text box is enabled for you to input, right? So this is how we want the things to be here, right? How we want things to be here. So if a control is not enabled or it is disabled, then the color will be light green. It means the color is light. It means you cannot do anything for that. Okay, we will practice this kind of thing in the lab and assignment. Okay, lab and assignment. So this property determines whether a control is available to use or is grayed out. Okay, disabled. The enabled property of a control can be set at design time. or in code at runtime. Okay, for example, we do display button dot enabled equals false. It means that button will be disabled. It is often useful to display a control, for example, a button that is temporarily irrelevant to the current activity rather than hide it, possibly confusing the user. For example, if that part is not useful, so I will disable it. Okay, for example, let's assume you're registering courses as a freshman, right? There are multiple different courses, okay? But as a freshman, you're not eligible for some courses, right? If the system can identify your identity, you are a freshman, then those courses which you are not eligible for will be disabled. It means the user will not make the mistake to select those courses, okay? Those problems can be avoided, okay? This is a very convenient design in business applications, okay, in business applications. So we have two examples. Assume that there is button, calculate button, write a statement to disable the button. So for this problem, you need to know that. So we want to use the enabled property, and the answer will be calculate button dot enable equals false. Okay, equals false. So for the second example, assume that there is a checkbox, display checkbox, and a text box, message text box. If the checkbox is not checked, disable the text box. Otherwise, enable it. You see here, if display checkbox dot checked, then message text box dot enabled equals true. Else, message box text box dot enabled equals false. Okay?